the most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hey up everyone and welcome to episode 108 of the Huddersfield Town Social, part of the Andy Takes That Chance network. I'm going to start by issuing an apology. On the last episode, I told everyone that I'd provisionally booked a hotel for Wembley for the playoff final, and Andy shook his head, similar to what he's doing now. Since then, we've crashed out of the Virtue Trophy to Donny and put in two of the worst performances of the season, losing 1-0 to Stevenage and 1-0 to Donny away. So I am truly sorry for having some faith in this club. Me, Gaz and Andy are here tonight, guys. What we're going to do is we're gonna. I mean, let's be honest, there weren't many highlights to talk about in either of these last two games, so we're going to be led by you guys and your questions. Nick Jenkinson, you've already put one in, mate, so I appreciate that. But yeah, get your comments, get your questions in. Apparently, there's been some issues streaming onto X, so if you let everyone know if people can't listen on X, then get on YouTube and join in the conversation. Evening to Tom Raff, David Jones. Oh dear, we're I don't know, guys. Let's very quickly start by, I guess we've got 3 games, haven't we? So I'm not going to talk about the Virtu game because it's been and gone. No one gives a shit, let's be honest, about this competition. Only to say that is the worst set of penalties I've ever seen from a side ever. What the fuck were they? What was that? I mean, to be fair, if you're putting Dion Charles up in the lineup to take a penalty, we deserve to get beat, don't we? Let's be honest. But how bad were they? If we're going to actually, by some miracle, get into these playoffs and it comes to penalties, do we just go home? I mean, is that a sign of things to come, or is it just a bad evening? It's shocking, wasn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen a professional. Did we miss 4?
All of them.
4 on the bounce. 4 on the bounce.
I've never seen a professional side miss all 4 ever, unless I'm sure there'll be some nerd that can correct me. I know we missed 2, I think, in the playoff final when we beat Sheffield United, and we missed 2 out of the first 5 or 3 out of the first 5. But yeah, they were abysmal, and I think the frustrating thing is we probably did enough in the game to win it, didn't we? But as has become our want recently, we're as toothless as you like up front, and we were made to pay the price for got beaten by Donny's reserves.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. But do you know what? I thought Will Alves at least had a decent game, trying to make things happen, running at people, had a few chances saved, and then, as is Huddersfield Town tradition, he gets left out of the site completely for our trip down to Stevenage. And when you go in 3-4-2-1 with Dion Charles leading a line on his own, I'm sorry, but I just do not understand why Manning persists with this. The bloke can't hold the ball up. All he does is get offside. And, the whole formation relies in that one person up top, being able to hold it up and bring other people into play. And we know Dion Charles can't do that. You've got a big physical side in Stevenage. You are, to put it kindly, quite limited. They weren't in great form, but what they are is some big bruising bastards who lump it up there and challenge physically. And we were way off the pace. Absolutely way off. We couldn't compete with the physicality. To be honest, it could have been 2 or 3. I think Nichols made a decent save at first half for his feet.
Yeah, he did.
And then again, just before they scored, I think the only main chance I can think of for us, I think Ballymumba cut in, I think, in the first half. And then what does he do? He has all the goal to aim at and shanks it wide. I mean,
shanks it left, yeah.
Professional footballer, mate, you got to at least hit the target. I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes, we exaggerate and say, "Oh, I could have done that," but I generally think I could have hit the target from that distance. So I don't know what he was thinking there, but And then we try and play this stupid football out from the back again. We've got back into that habit again, haven't we? And then we give a silly free kick away. Miller, I mean, he's beating him. He doesn't have much choice but to bring him down. They whip the ball in. And to be fair, I thought Mully Wallace had a decent enough game. He won quite a lot in the air, but on this one occasion he gets beat. It's 1-0. Gaz, you're screwing your face up. You don't think so, mate? I didn't think you were too bad, but the bar wasn't particularly high from the performances, was it? Let's be honest. He was better than most of them. But yeah, it's 1-0, and we never look like getting back into it. He waits far too long to bring Ashia. Forgot his name then. Ashia. And he forces Good into a mistake. Just goes wide. Could have done something, but he's left it far too late, and the game peters out. And Andy, you went down, mate. Frustrating as out in that stands watching that when you've paid all hard-earned money, you've travelled all that way, and they didn't register one single shot on target. Shocking.
What I never understood is that they're a big physical team that love to play against physical teams. They want you to go there and try and match them up with their physicality. They want you to go along. So what's the last thing a big, unwieldy, strong team wants? Last thing they want is people running at them. So why the Chuff Alves didn't start after the way he played on that Tuesday night with the town penalties event was just beyond me. Humphreys was anonymous. Ledson has gone back to pre-Bradford levels. It didn't help, obviously, with what's his name, McGuane going off after 7 minutes. But again, he'd not started. He'd not shown particularly well. Barley Mumba, the shot that he's dragged to the left of the post when he got the entire goal to aim at, again, he's just snatched at it. They just look nervous. And the frustrating thing, again, is that goal that they've scored, we've conceded about 4 or 5 times. It's the old, let's concede a penalty somewhere within the vicinity of the 18-yard area, chip it into the box, and somebody will miss a header. And we must have conceded that goal 4 times now. So all teams are going to do is try and play for free kicks around the box and just lob it in there, knowing at some point we will miss the bloody thing. I mean, fair dues to Murray Wallace. He must have had 750 headers away from their channel balls during that in game, but he missed the 751st one, which is the most important one, bless him. So I thought it was harsh on him because he absolutely battled his bollocks off to that fella to me. But at the end of the day, he's missed the most important and vital thing. It frustrates me, and one of the things that frustrates me is when Nichols is, and I'm no tactician, that Killer will tell you that I'm on here for shits and giggles, not on for any sort of tactical analysis. But he never ever comes up and plays the sweeper role. He's never on the edge of his 18-yard area. Their keeper was. So if the ball's getting played over the top, he's having to retreat and we're getting a turn defence. I think he needs to be on the edge of his area, playing as almost like the sweeper keeper thing that we used to do back in the day. Because otherwise, we're never going to get pushed up the pitch. We were so far pushed back, but every time they got the ball, the rule was they would get it wide, they would pass it into the middle, and one of their back three would oof it down one of the channels and try and turn us and chase. If he's up there, he's got a chance of doing something about clearing it and getting rid. Well, we pushed the defence further up. We just got so pushed further and further back time after time, and it was just the away end itself was. It was meh. It's a meh away end. It's got a note about it. It's got and just we won their 2-1 last year, a non-memorable game. That was completely unmemorable. I mean, fair dues to them. They wasted time superbly towards the back end. I've never seen a referee get megged by an opposition player and not get booked for time wasting, which is what happened. The lad with the hair like Matt Shaw from our sister podcast. Some of his decisions were completely unfathomable, really, but he just seemed to want to be the centre of attention. So I don't think he helped us, but overall, but the problem is that's the standard, that's the norm, isn't it? How many games have we lost away now? 10, something like that. And how many league games have we played now? I'm starting to lose count, but we've won 3, maybe 4 games. That is the standard that you are going to get to expect when Town are away from home. The Peterborough games, the good wins away from home, they're the outliers. That's not they're spikes in performance. The actual standard of performance that we produce away from home is shocking. The pitch was dreadful. Sorry, I'm going on one here. I remember a bit ranty, aren't I? But the pitch was bloody awful, but so was our first stuff that went with it. The number of times that Ledson miscontrolled it and wasn't able to do anything with it. So it's the simple stuff that we need to get better at. And I don't think it's beyond Manning to get that right. But how they've gone from the passionate, engaged, fighting for the badge team that was playing particularly against Bradford and Luton to that weak-willed, aimless, meandering mess that we saw, particularly on Saturday. Like I said to you guys, I didn't watch the entire game on Tuesday because I'd rather have gone and made a spreadsheet rather than watch the last half an hour. What's happened? Is it the new manager bounced and they've just gone, all right, we've impressed him now, we don't need to be asked? And if that's the case, shame on you lads, because the old cliche 13 cup finals, absolutely we've got that, because at the minute we're dropping out of these playoffs and we're dropping comfortably out of these playoffs. And unless something miraculously changes away from home, we haven't got a hope in hell of being in them playoffs. So, and I wish all the best. What's 10 or 17 away? I've just seen that pop into the.
Not only have we lost 10 of the last 17 away, in the previous 10 games away we conceded. So that's now game 11 and game 12. So 12, the last 12 games away from home, we've conceded a goal. You're right, in our away form probably shouldn't have been that much of a surprise because our away form's been absolutely abysmal, no matter who's been in charge for a fair old while now. And I think as we picked out, I think Stevenage had only lost to Cardiff at home. So they're the team that are good at home. Although they were in great form, they'd drawn a lot. They're good at home. We're shit at home. It is a tough place to go. The pitch ain't great. They're a proper League One team in that they're a good League One team, actually, I must say, because they're better than the sum of their parts. They're better than the sum of their parts. Their output is much better than the individuals probably deserve. That's because they look organised, as you say, Andy. The big lads, they use the pitch, they use the old manning of the referee, didn't they? They use the games, and I think for me the difference between that and Doncaster and Peterborough was we didn't win any of the battles. That how many times have we seen the huddle video from Manning's first game and Led's given it, win your fucking battles, lad. You got to win your battles. We didn't win one battle, despite the fact we had dominated possession both against Stevenage and Doncaster. Hardly won a second ball, and the second McGuane went off, it was game over. I mean, I have to be honest, I thought it had 0-0 written all over it, the game. But as you rightly say, Andy, I mean, it was basically a negative version of the goal we conceded at Peterborough. It was exactly the same place, but at the other side, putting in exactly the same way, with exactly the same run from their man and exactly the same result. So, I think we were all optimistic, but I think the second McGuane went off, we were bollocks because our ability to create anything was nothing. And I'm with you. I think I put a tweet out. So, so far Manning's impressed, but somebody at some point has to question how a guy like Nick says can play, be man of the match on Tuesday night, cause problems, and then not even be in the squad for Saturday. I can understand why I might not start him when the lads played 90 minutes on Tuesday night and he hadn't played a lot of football. But you're left then with Asher being your only game changer, and we all know he's frustrating, blows hot and cold. Did all right at Stevenage as a sub, but I thought it was dreadful Tuesday night. So I think we probably caused some of our own problems. I think. I think when you've got Dion Charles leading the line right now in the form Dion's not in, it's always going to be a challenge in it. But 2 games in a row where for me it looks like he's set up to get a 0-0 out game and hope he can nick it in the last 10 or 15 minutes. We were criticising Grant for doing that, trying to keep it tight and then using the quality of the bench to win a game. We were moaning that's what Grant did. So I was with you, Andy. I'm pleased to say I didn't make the 400-mile round trip like you did. It shouldn't have come as a surprise that they were good at home and that they were big and strong. That's the bit I can't get my head round. Our lot looked like it was a surprise. Never won a second ball, never won a tackle.
I heard Manning say one the reasons for not picking Els was because he wasn't considered physically enough capable to handle them physically. Well, none of the players could. And at least with Els, you've got someone that will run at them, that will create something that can score a goal out of nothing. I cannot believe that he wasn't even on the bench for that game. And I'm sick of us having to pander to how other teams play and adapt how we play according to other teams rather than us playing our way. Pick our best players and let's play our way. And if we don't win, we don't win. But I don't understand it. I mean, he's not been here long, has he? He's not been here long, so I'm not saying manning out or anything like that. But it was just baffling to me, and it's not the only baffling decision he's made so far. But yeah, our away form is absolutely dog shit. We've only won 5 games away all season. We're bang average. I think we're 12th in the away form table, but we've played more games than everybody else. So that'll drop down as other teams catch us up. That is not a promotion side, is it? That is not the form of a promotion side. When you're dropping points away and no disrespect to Donny and Stevenage, and I know they are decent at home, guys, but you've still got to be beating these sides if you want to get in the top 6. You've got to do more. To
not getting beat, Nick. If you go and you have a poor game, you can't play well every game. And if we're going to have a poor game, you've got to come away with a point.
Yeah,
you've got to be good enough to come away with it and cute enough. And we weren't, were we?
No, not at all. Let's read some of these comments out. Nick Jenkinson, first one, mate. Sorry it's taken a while to get to you, but keep them coming, guys, because we'll answer. We'll talk through your comments as we go. But yeah, he's asking, what do we make of the last 2 games? Not a shot on target in 190 minutes.
Unreal.
I mean, how awful is that?
Unreal,
we'll get on to Donny in a minute. What do you think about the weak midfield? And he's not the only one to mention this midfield. HTFC Dreams discusses Kasumu and McGuane together and their injury records. I mean, we do it, guys, don't we? We rely too much on injury-prone players. And lo and behold, McGuane, he's not been that long, gets a groin injury. Mikel Miller's another one. Didn't take him long to be injured again, did it? And we're back to square one again. Kasumu, he can't play for a sustained period, so I think you're absolutely right, mate. He'll get injured as well. And we've let Herbie Kane go out to Plymouth, and their fans really like him, saying he's doing really well. So that's good, isn't it? It's another mesmerising town decision. So you've got to laugh, though, haven't you? You've got to laugh. It's same with Joe Taylor. He scored again other night. Nice little lob finish.
4 in 7.
Playing Dion Charles up front. He scored 4 in 7 for them, hasn't he? What is going on? What are we doing to ourselves?
Well, the midfield's a conundrum, innit? And I think, to quote Ian Kilroy, midfields win your games in this league, and I hate to say he's right, but he's right. And when you're playing Kasumu and Ledson, you've got two the same. I think for me, I would have dropped Harness back to play alongside Ledson, because Harness at least has got a pass in him. He's got, he can drag the ball and move it 20, 30 yards and carry the ball upfield. That's not Ledson's game, is it? So, if you're going to play Ledson and Kasumu in front of a back 5, you're going to get what you deserve. And I thought that's what we did on Tuesday night. Kasumu, when he's played him, actually has been a bit more effective when he's played further forward. When we look where he played him at Peterborough, he played him almost as an attacker almost, didn't he? And his energy and his drive worked, but it just never happened in midfield. And once, as I say, once McGuane went off, we ran out of ideas, because I think the tactic was get the ball and give it to McGuane. That was some of the tactics in the first few games. And I've not heard any. Has anybody heard anything on how long he's going to be out, McGuane? But if it's a groin, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
Is it? There you go. So, these games against the bottom teams that we had coming up, this run of games where I think we had 6 games against bottom 5. I think we played 5 of the bottom 8 in the next 5 games, 6 games or something. We had a real run of games coming up that were absolutely, stone cold winnable. And now that looks a challenge on it without him.
Yeah, Marcus saying Herbie Kane's injured now. I'm sorry, mate, I didn't notice that, but it's another injury. We love it. We love having injured players. We absolutely love it. Dave Harriet's fuming. He went to the game on Tuesday.
3 essays from Dave Harriet. He's proper fuming. He's proper fuming.
Yeah, it were disgraceful. No, let's go into it. Let's go into Donny, because you're wanting a reaction, aren't you? After that shit show at Stevenage, you're thinking, right, come on. Every team has a bad game. Didn't go for us, but we've got a derby here against Donny, who were absolutely shocking in that they've conceded, 50 goals? They're defensively awful. Down near the bottom of the league. They dumped us out the Virtu, so we want a bit of revenge. Let's go and get stuck in and let's get the 3 points. And what we got was arguably an even worse performance than at Stevenage. We, again, offered absolutely nothing. I'm struggling to think of any real clear cut, apart from, I think, the second half. Gooch puts a ball across. I think Mumba misses it by a toe length. But other than that, again, I'm struggling to think of any real highlights from our point of view. And like Dave said, 2,000 fans there making that trip. If we'd have been playing decent, we'd have probably sold out. But it's a Tuesday night, it's on telly, the weather was awful, it was freezing cold, and 2,000 fans have still trailed over to Donny to watch that, and look at what they've been served up as a thank you. Absolutely nothing. And it's 6 points up the shitter, which, if you wanted to get in that top 6, we can't be doing this. We can't be giving every side near the bottom of the league a leg up and expect to go anywhere. And what the hell Mumba was doing, some people could argue his hand's already up. It's really close to him for the penalty, but I don't know what he's doing. He's flaying his arms up anyway in the penalty area. You can't do that. You give it ref a decision, and at the home side, he's usually going to give a penalty, and then, let's be honest, you might as well just reset and count it as a goal, because Nichols ain't going to save a penalty. I can't remember last time he saved a penalty, so you might as well just chalk it as a goal and save the time taken to take the pen. Just walk back to halfway line and reset. And then Donny, if anything, really, in the ascendancy back in that first half, should have probably made it 2. They're all over us. Couldn't cope with them. And slightly better second half, but did we really trouble them? Their keeper, not one save to make. No. Embarrassing.
It was shite, wasn't it? I mean, and I think that's the thing that I cannot get my head around, how we've not had a shot on target against a team that's conceded 50 goals. I mean, this lot are as bad at the back as we are, and we've not even tested the keeper. That keeper's sort of ricking him. I mean, that's the thing. We just never tested him. We never really got into the game, I didn't think. Although it was another game that probably would have had 0-0 written all over it, because Doncaster were as shit as we are. But once they scored the penalty, as you rightly say, Nick, they came on strong. I'm with you. I thought for 10 or 15 minutes they caused us some real issues. I mean, they never even had to bring Billy Sharp on. That's how easy it was for them. But yeah, it was. I'm going to say the town fans, by the way, I watched it on Sky because unfortunately I'm pleased to say I got delayed at work. I was going and then got delayed at work, so I couldn't go. So it was a bit of a result in the end. I thought the town fans were magnificent, by the way. You couldn't hear the Donny fans, but you could hear the town fans. So, I thought they deserved something on the night, and they got absolutely nothing. I thought the subs took too long to come. It was just terrible, wasn't it? And I think that performance by Dion Charles was up there with one of the worst professional match proper competitive game performances I think I've seen from a town player in a long. And I actually feel a bit different, because I don't think it's through desire or trying. I just think he's not very good. And whilst ever we're relying on Dion Charles to score them goals, we're going to be in trouble, aren't we? So it was just.
Well, I think our Bolton mate is making a fair point in the comments that he's not a target man. He's not the guy that's going to receive the ball to feet. When can you ever remember when he's played against Town that he's played like that and he's looked a threat? Before signing him, he's looked like a threat every time. I was always really nervous of Dion Charles, but that's not his game. So he's been asked to do something that isn't within his wheelhouse, and the lad seems to be permanently offside. I think we need to take him back to basics and explain that rule to him. But he's been asked to do something that is absolutely not one of his strengths, and Bojan potentially on his way back, that could be something good. I think the lad Wales, somebody described him as a competition winner.
Like he's allergic to footballs. I've never seen anybody, and he runs like Forrest Gump. I mean,
he's just a young kid, isn't he? And he's not found his feet at all. He's got to have something to have been signed by a championship club. You'd think, but I think we've looked at it and gone, what do we need? We need a big lad up top to play with Dion. right, we'll go to a championship club and we'll look to pick one of their big fringe players and bring him in. That'll be good. And I think that's as much fucking research as we've done on him because the kid's out of his depth. Bless him. He seems like a nice enough fella from what I know about him. So this isn't a personal thing, but I think if as is appearing the case that Hardy might be ready for a few more minutes, as they say, and that Bojan's Instagram is to believe that time is ticking and to much to Gaz's delight, he might be on his way back, then I doubt we'll see him again. Alfie May coming back in on Saturday, you'd think, or certainly coming into the squad, you'd think on Saturday. He's played in the reserves, hasn't he? At the not reserves, under 21s on one day earlier on this week. So he's got some miles in his legs, but it's not he can't do it. But then the idea that Manu is persisting with it with 4-2-3-1, like you said, or 5-3-2, and two defensive midfielders, we cannot afford now. I was gonna see if I could look at what the number of points that teams have got to get into the playoffs in League One last year. Obviously, we didn't get anywhere near it because we just
don't do it. No.
But that we're probably going to have to win over the 13 games that we're going to have to win 8 or 9 of them. How the fuck are we going to win 8 or 9 games out of the next 13 playing as we're doing at the minute? We've got to go. Do you know what? We've got 50 points. We're not going down. We've got to absolutely blast the shit out of it. And if we go down fighting, we go down fighting. But just this timid, just scared to do anything. Okay, get some attacking players on. 4-4-2, get some wingers in, get some crosses in, and let's just see what happens. We've got to roll the dice, because if we don't, the season fizzles out yet again. Forget this idea of him up front on his own.
6th place was 76 points last year, and what we're on 49. So we need to win 9 games, don't we?
9 games out of 13.
You better if we played all 9 at home, if we played all 13 at home, we might have half a chance.
Yeah,
but
we've still got Cardiff to play. We've got Lincoln to play. Who else have we got to play from?
We've got Bolton away.
Bolton away.
Coming up. No chance.
And I think that I did put a tweet out. So apologies to Matt. I know he's his mate, but I have to be honest. The January window so far looks an absolute fucking stinker. I've got high hopes for Hardy, by the way. I do think Hardy. I absolutely get the Hardy sign. I think that's a great signing, and if he wasn't injured, we wouldn't have got him, right? So if we can get the lad fit, I mean, that's just where are we? Another fucking injured player. But if you can get him fit, he genuinely could fire the goals we desperately need. I think that's. But Wales and Barley Mumba, and you just look at some of these signs and sort of go, I don't really see it. They've not ticked any boxes. We didn't really deal with the bit we were concerned about, which was full backs rather than wing backs. Sign yet another wing back, haven't we? Another wing back, and then let another wing back go. So we've not signed any wingers. We didn't sign a big lad up front. We've got no central midfielder control play. We've got centre halves who are all slow as fuck. We have none of the core issues for me were addressed in January. But having said all of that, we've got a big squad full of players with Championship experience, and we're in fucking League One. So I'm not entirely sure we shouldn't be having to go out and sign fucking 6 players in January. The money that's been spent, we should be there or thereabouts already.
We've got players who think they're better than what they are, though, Gaz. We're all saying that these are Championship quality players, but I haven't seen that this season. We've not seen anything like the consistency from these players. Harness has done better, but Ryan Ledson, he's gone back to being his old self where, there were one point in Stevenage game where we had an attack on edge of box. Ledson gets it and then he breaks it up, passes it, and I'm thinking, is a Town player running onto it? And then it just cuts away. It goes straight to Stevenage player to run out. He actually cleared our fucking attack for him. I just, some of this passing is absolutely atrocious. I don't know how you can pass that bad for a so-called Championship footballer. How many passes did we have against Donny that just went straight out of play? Sean Rowan was guilty as well. Just lax, just not concentrating, and it's just not good enough. It's not good enough, and I'm with you actually. I think Chris Markham is Mumba looks dreadful to me. I don't know what he brings. He's defending suspect, but he's not very good going forward either. So I don't really know. For £1 million, it looks like another £1 million down the drain to me. I don't understand that signing at all. Wales looks like just someone to fill a gap until people come back, which is all right, but he's actually got to offer something, because again, that's more waste of wage. Like, it's just, we just seem adept at wasting money at the moment. I think in summer, no matter what happens, we've got to try and have a big clear out again. But unfortunately, we've given a lot of these players big contracts, haven't we? There's only, I think, Miller's contract's up, but other than that, there isn't many up, is there? So Chris Markham's got a massive job on his hands, that's for sure, no matter what division we're in, because a lot of these players aren't good enough, or they're just injured.
When's Bojan's up? When's Bojan's? I thought his was at the end of the season. I may be wrong.
Does he have another year? And I thought he had another year.
I don't know.
We'll have to check that, but he's. I mean, ironically, he's probably one of the ones he'd probably hold on to, innit? But
yeah.
And you're right, guys. Look, if Hardy hits his stride, we've got a brilliant player there. The problem is it's another gamble, innit? It's another gamble again. We're gambling on someone with an injury record of coming good, and we did that with Reece Sealey, didn't we? And look how that worked out. Ironically, he scored as many goals as Dion Charles has for us, and he's only played about 3 games for us. So that tells you how good Dion Charles is. We've got something here. We've got a bit of momentum, and then you're coming up against sides down the bottom end of the table, and we've just gone back to square one again. Where do you think it's gone wrong? Do you think it's manning selection? Do you think it's the players? Maybe like Gas said, do you think it's the players that have just thought, right, we've done the hard bit, we'll just coast now to a top 6 place? And because if you don't turn up, you get beat no matter who you play in this league.
I've seen a few social media posts from fans of other clubs who Manning's been their manager, their boss, and they're now saying things like, well, this is the real Liam Manning now. What you're now saying is exactly, this is what I fucking told you that. And I say, I mean, I don't know how much input he had into the recruitment of the squad, but he has no choice but to play the shapes he's playing, because that's how the squad's packed out, to either play 5-3-2 or 5-2-3 or 4-2-3-1 with no wingers, no big strikers. So he's got no choice but to play the formation we have. I think obviously we talked about it when Ian was last on, about the fact that they played really compact, and then out of nowhere they seem to stop doing that. So I think there's a little bit of that. I think the loss of McGuane's massive. It's a massive blow to him and to us, because I think he was pivotal to whatever shape he played and whatever he did, making it work. And he was probably hoping he could get through them 2 games with Dion up front and take 2 points or 3 points out of them 2 games, and then be able to drop some other strikers back into the team, perhaps. But like I said, I think with Stevenage, for me, I think you have to give Stevenage a bit. I think you have to give them a bit of kudos. I thought they were really difficult to play on the game. Somebody said somewhere about teams having far less quality, which is what I was saying. Stevenage is not the greatest, but they did a proper job on the day, and you have to take it out to them and say I thought they did enough to win that game, Stevenage, in fairness to them. But it had 0-0 written all over it till we decided we were going to try and play fucking football out of the back yet again in the 85th minute. We spent all game whacking it long past Dion Charles' head, and then the 85th minute, fucking Nichols decides he's going to turn into Donnarumma and fucking try and play a short 10-yard pass. So, in fairness to Manning, what the fuck is he meant to do with that? How can he deal with that? But then you then give away a stupid foul, and then you don't defend the ball into the box. That's not Nichols' fault. So I think it's just a bit of everything. But the problem is that, as we've seen with this lot, they're mentally weak, and losing 2 games back to back like that. They lose on Saturday at home. Fuck, it's going to be vile again, isn't it? We're going to be right back to where we started at the end of Grant's reign, with fans booing and fucking calling names and all of that. So if we can come out with a performance on Saturday and then follow it up the week after, then I think you have to just put them 2 to bed and say, well, we lost McGuane, we lost May, we lost Bojan, Stevenage were decent, Donny's one of them, but that's a big if, innit? He's got to now show in the Doncaster game what we saw in the 3 games prior, to the Stevenage game. He's got to find a way to do that, and he's going to have to do it without McGuane. That's for sure.
Joe Lowe, a big miss and all for Stevenage, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, good point.
You know, that's the sort of player you want for a game like that. When's Watmore back, by the way? He's been away forever, hasn't he?
He played 45 minutes in the under-21s on Tuesday with Evans and his massively different sized legs. He was playing as well. You've seen pictures of him, bless him. He's got one thigh that's a normal size and one that's like with the pipe cleaner, bless him. So I don't know whether he was on the bench on Saturday for... I've got a feeling he was. I don't know whether he was or not. I've just got an image of him being there. But how the hell is he going to be more physical than bloody Alves when he's only got 1.5 legs to play with at the minute, bless him. So, yeah, they had 3 of them, I think, that were potentially... Alfie May, Watmore and Evans played 45 minutes, I think, on Tuesday.
Because again, he's another one that could make a difference, but he's always injured. With so many of these players, it's unbelievable. You could fill a team of them. You could fill a full team of players who are injured for at least half a season. It's terrible. Yeah, but Alfie May coming back's big in it. And, you know, if we start to get some of these players back, I just worry about the midfield though, Andy. I worry about that midfield massively. I think Kasumo and Ledson, dreadful. I don't know. Humphreys hasn't impressed me too much, if I'm being honest. He's supposed to be more of an advanced midfielder.
Yeah,
I've got a feeling he'll probably play him deeper. But he's not particularly impressed me either with some of his passing and his decisions. So it's
particularly the Stockport game that he played. That he gave the ball away. I think it was his first game, to be fair to him. So he didn't really know the players, but his distribution wasn't great against Stockport. He's popped up and scored that great goal from almost a 10 position, which is where he's likely to be at his best. But is he the answer? I don't know. I think we've got to have, if we're going to play 2 defensive midfielders, we've got no option other than Ledson and Harness in a 2 in the middle, whether it's a 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. They've got to be your central players, and we've got to get the ball to Harness. But I think we've got to play Asher, because you don't know what you're going to get, but you'll get something, and you'll get some sort of creativity and drive and something you can get after and pick second balls off. Whether it's Barley Bumper on the other side or whatever we do down the wings, I'm not entirely sure. But at some point we've got to go. You know, we need to win 75% of the games that we've got left in this season. We're not going to do that by having a back 5 or a back 6. We've got to play some attacking football. We've got to take some chances. But at the minute, it doesn't seem like they're willing to take the chances. They've gone back to what appears to be frightened players that were playing before before Grant got sacked. So whether there's a feeling of, this Manning fella, you know, he's got his very high standards, and I've sort of impressed by his standards. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to live up to it. So I play within my means, and I don't express myself and don't take any risks. Whether that's an instruction from the bench or not, we'll never know. But if he's trying to establish himself in the game as a town manager and build momentum, I think he's lost that opportunity now with these 2 losses in a row. We couldn't afford to not come out of these games with 4 points for me to have any chance of getting anywhere near the playoffs. Stevenage, what are they, a point behind us with a game in hand? Barnsley have got 75 games in hand on us, as my Barnsley supporting friends keep telling me. Oh, I'm so looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be great, isn't it? Can you imagine living in Barnsley and being a town fan?
They've also let 50 goals in, Andy, by the way. So they've let 50 goals in Barnsley. Yeah. The last 2 away games, they've let in 3 and 4.
Yeah. You could get anything from them. You could get anything. If that Cleary lad for them, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, if he has a good game, they have a good game. If he doesn't, then they don't. And I've seen in local paper that because they're like us, haven't got a midweek game next week, the players that he might potentially have rested for a Tuesday fixture on next week, he's thinking, well, you know, I've got all week to play him and then rest him. So I think we're going to see the strongest possible Barnsley team. There'll be no rotation, which is what he's been doing previously, apparently. And we've got to do the same thing, but it's got to be an attacking team, because if it's not, if it was like it was against Stevenage, a bit more attacking on Tuesday night. I appreciate it, but we've got to get our best attacking talent on the pitch, and that for me is Alves. That for me is May's got to play. Hardy, you don't know whether he can last a full game, whether it's Wales that goes up top and then Hardy comes on and replaces him. We've got to get some life and some spark in there, and if we don't, this season will just peter out like it did last season. And that's the one good thing, that with 49 points, we ain't going down. So
just need one more point just to make sure.
Just to make sure, yeah. Maybe I've spoken too soon. Maybe that I've shown some faith in the team, and
don't do what I did, mate. Don't do what I did.
Like you do, Nick. But yeah.
I tell you this as a feel of, you know, last year, and I can't remember, it was around about Christmas time, or it might have been early New Year, and we played, I think there were 4 games where we played the bottom 3 over a 4-game period, and I think we took 1 point from the 4 games. And that's what this feels a bit like. I think the next 3 or 4 games will decide whether we genuinely have a chance of the playoffs or we don't. Because you've got Rotherham, Barnsley, Wigan, Rotherham, Port Vale. If we don't take 9 points out of them, ideally 10, ideally 12, then you've got to say, I think our playoff chances are toast. So rather than performances, the first thing we've got to do on Saturday is fucking win. That's the first thing we've got to do. And I love a performance, but right now, after what's gone on in the last 2 games, I take 1-0 from a shitty penalty. But I am with you, Andy. I think he's got to show a bit of something, and that's why I'd just drop Arness back. I'd take Kasumu out. I'd drop Arness back, and that makes room to drop Al straight in, and maybe because May's going to come back in. I think whatever happens, May's got to come back in. And then hopefully I'm with you. I'd like Wang Hardy on and give him an hour, give him an half. Do something different, because I think you put Wales in there, and I think we're gonna. And then, as I said, they conceded 50 fucking goals this lot. They lost 4. They let 4 in at Cardiff and 3 in at Bolton in their last 2 games. Not scoring against this lot. If we don't score against this lot, then we've really got problems. But I think the next 4 games decide whether we're in the playoffs or not. I don't think we need to wait till May to find out.
I think if we lose, and it sounds really dramatic, this in true podcast fashion, but I think if we lose to Barnsley, I think it's over. I honestly think it's over. It's not on paper, but I think the psychology of it, losing 3 games in a row with some tough games coming up after, I think we're done. Which is mad, innit, to say that when we're only in mid-February, but it's going exactly the same as it did last season. Start decent, give us some promise, give us some hope, and then just take it all away and end on a sour note. And it's going exactly the same this season. And that's a really good question. That, when was the last time? Let me bring it. That's it. When was the last time the midfield actually played a through ball for a striker to score 1-on-1? I can't remember, mate. I can't remember the last time we played through centrally for anybody to score. Most of the time it's come from crosses, on it, or we don't. I remember Joe Taylor, last game he played for us in Virtu, and he must have made 4 or 5 really intelligent runs off the ball. Not once did anyone try and pick him out with a pass. No wonder he's pissed off. Wants to leave. Do you know what I mean? You play to players' strengths, and strikers want balls to run onto. Dare I say, even Dion Charles might do better, although bloke could have an open goal and probably blaze over at bar, but at least if you're putting balls through and he's running, he's got half a chance, hasn't he? Rather than playing the way that we are. Who's top of the next manager odds? We can't Thing is, some people, mate, as much as that's a joke, some people will be saying Manning out if we lose against Barnsley, won't they? That's how mentally is it. That's how desperate everyone is at the moment. Everyone's just sick of having false dawn after false dawn after false dawn, aren't they? That's all it is. We just want a bit of consistency, and we want some performances to be proud of. I was really proud of our performances against Bradford and Luton. I thought we'd really turned a corner there. In terms of working as a team, grinding out a result. It's something we can all relate to. Whereas what were that shit last 2 games? We can't relate to that. That's not how any of us want to play. It's not only is it losing football, it's boring football. But we've got to do better. We've got to do better against Barnsley. But I'm worried, because I think, they concede a lot, but they're also going forward. We could get a Goodman masterclass, could we, as well?
Can you imagine?
Going down, wasting time with 5 minutes to go when we're losing 1-0, winding all fans up. You can see it already, can't you? You can see it. Oh, dear. Do you think... what do you think is going to happen if we don't go up? Do you think we're in trouble? Because I don't know, and it might just be me, this. Again, I might be being a bit over-dramatic, but with the amount of money we've spent, you know, I'm a bit worried that maybe we've gambled a bit too much this season on getting promoted. You can't keep spending the money that we're spending with the financial regulations and whatnot and expect to not have some sort of retribution if you don't get promoted. Do you think we will be able to go again if we go down, or do you think we're going to have to reel it in? Because I'm not entirely certain we're going to be able to spend what we had the last couple of seasons. I wonder if they've been banking on us getting promoted this season, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
You know, I hate to say I fucking said it, but League One's a graveyard for clubs like Huddersfield Town. It really is. And when you look at, I was just looking at the Championship table. So Wednesday are going to come down. Well, they've been bought out now, aren't they? So although they're just, you know, Wednesday are going to go down, but they're going to be right up for it. They'll have 25,000 crowds. Not like Bradford's 25,000 crowds, real 25,000 crowds. You know, Wednesday are going to be red hot to bounce back up. You've got Oxford who are being missed, but then you know, look at then Leicester a third bottom, West Brom a fourth bottom, Blackburn a fifth bottom, then Portsmouth, Charlton, Norwich, Swansea. I mean, you look at it and think, fuck me, if two of them come down, that's the promotion place is done.
Yeah, they'll batter us.
You know, next season is going to be way harder in this league than it has been this year. This was the year to get out. Luton were in free fall. Cardiff, I didn't think Cardiff would pull it back round, but you have to give them, you know, you have to give Cardiff kudos. They've really pulled their shit together. But you know, when you're talking about Lincoln and Stevenage and Stockport and all Stockport apparently and Bradford being the top six, you know, it's a season we should have been knocking on the door of top two. We really should. And the Grant experiment has turned out with hindsight to be an absolutely enormous failure, hasn't it? Let's be honest. And that's on Kev. That, you know, taking Grant was his choice. Yeah. He decided to go that route. It's just that's my worry. Is I think if we don't get out this time, we could be here for fucking years. And you're right. Nick, at some point, he's going to have to stop pumping money in. And he'll want to stop pumping money in eventually. He's going to get fed up with knuckleheads on Twitter calling him a bellend. So, you know, at some point, you know, we could be in big trouble, couldn't we?
Worst case scenario, we have points deductions for breaching financial fair play. Kev decides to leave us, and we end up in League Two and do a Bradford. Don't write that off either. You know, Bolton. I see a Bolton fan, you know, and to be fair, mate, you know, we're very much like Bolton at the moment. A team that wanted Premier League too long ago gets relegated, struggles, can't adapt. I think they went down again, didn't they, into League Two for a bit, but same as exactly like what Bradford did. It's happened to just as big, if not bigger, clubs than us before, and we could do a Bolton and be here for God knows how long if we're not careful. And you don't get opportunities to spend money like we have very often as a football club. There are a lot of clubs in League One that give the right arm to have the funds that we've had, and look at the money that we've wasted. We're wasting the opportunity, and if we don't go up, we could be sat here in 5 years with next to no money to spend, thinking, God, if we'd have just invested that money a bit more wisely and done a better job, we could have been Championship now. And that's my worry, that we're wasting this chance, and once it's gone, it's 10 times harder.
It's been the story of our club since that fucking Chelsea away game, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We wasted that second season, wasted the first season back in the Championship, wasted the second, almost scraped in the playoffs by mistake. And I know the Phil lovers will tell you that it was a genius strike to keep Carlos on whenever he wanted to get rid of him. But I have it on reasonable authority. He couldn't afford to get rid of Carlos. That's the only reason he kept him. So, you know, by that one season, we've had 7 or 8 years of abject misery. And I love him or hate him, you know, Kev's written the checks, and you know, I've seen people on Twitter trying to work out how much money he's made from selling Sorba Thomas and claiming he's not put any money in. The bloke's put fucking money in.
Yeah.
And you're right. He's going to eventually at some point go, "What the fuck am I doing this for?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to be careful what we wish for. But having said all of that, he's got to take his share of the blame. You can't be the leader of the pack and pass the response. You can't be both ways, can you? You can't take the accolades without taking the responsibility.
No, because when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. It can go really wrong really quickly. We've seen clubs fucking fold, haven't we? When it's gone south. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you just want us to take this opportunity while we've got it, get back up and consolidate. But we just seem to be wasting money on dross at the moment, and
that's why it's a no risk gamble for me now. The last 13 games of the season, we are where we are. We ain't going to end up in League Two, fingers crossed, this season. Let's just try and smash out of it and see where we get to, and the energy and I guess that the size of the crowd was a big deal in the game and the performance that came with that. But that we cannot accept any less energy and enthusiasm in any of the next game, particularly against in Barnsley when I live in bloody Barnsley. We cannot accept anything less than the same level of effort and endeavour and passion and commitment that they showed against Bradford in any of the other games, because that truly is the thing that got us over the line that day. And that's the bit that, if you've got that behind you, that's when you create that extra second or so to show a little bit of skill and a little bit of flair and a little ability. We've got players who've got that. we have to show that. And if we don't, and if it's like a tepid start where we're passing it around and across the back, like we have done in the last couple of games when we've kicked off, we cannot afford that. We've got to work out a way that we're going to get full on and give it everything we've got. And then if we get there, we get into playoffs. We get into playoffs. I've got no hope of us getting through the playoffs if we did. But we first got to get there, and it's going to be a huge effort. But they've got, it's the cliche, and it's 13 cup finals, potentially 16 cup finals left, and they're in a position of safety now. So there's absolutely no reason why they can't give it absolutely everything to try and get to where we want them to be. And if they don't, that's on the players for me. And I think the feeling I get from Manning is that, we talked about the new word, the new grantism is profiles of players. Then like Gaz has said, they're not the profile of players that he wants to play the way that he wants to play. So if they don't take the opportunity of giving it the best potential shot to get up with this club, they will be gone. They will be sold. They will be no longer with us. So it's either, turn out and give it your best, or I think you'll see a lot of them going through the door. And we'll have another 15, 16 players in and players out turnover window, which we can't carry on doing. So they've got to earn the right to wear our shirt and keep those massive contracts they've got, because a lot of them are getting paid really well. They've been championship players and now in League One. You're not telling me they're not getting decent wages. Time to earn them.
I think they will. I think this is probably. I'm just thinking about the whole home and away thing, and I think they probably will. I think when you're at home and you've got town fans right behind you, and we're joining in shouting at referees, and the opposition drop off a little bit more than they would if you were playing at their place, and it's a big pitch, a big ground. That's really easy. It's really easy to play. And when you go to Stevenage and it's like a fucking ploughed field, and their fans are 2 foot from the touchline, and every time they've got to take a throw in, their manager's fucking whispering in their ear, and the ref's not giving them all the fucking free kicks you get at home because they kill the bank groan every time somebody puts an hand on. That's where I need to show some character. I think we'll win out. When you look at our home record, we're taking 2 points a game at home. So home's not the problem. And I think that demonstrates the weak mentality for me, that actually it's really easy to play in front of a decent crowd at home where most of them are behind you, and the opposition shows you probably a bit more respect than when you're at their place. That's easy. When you're a good footballer, that's easy. But when you're away from home and you're playing on that ploughed field, or you got to Donny where I mean, I don't know what the crowd was, 6,000 or 7,000 at Donny. There were hardly anybody there, were they? That's the thing. So I think you're right, Andy. I want them to show something, and I want them to win next to. I want them to win these 2 home games. I want them to stuff stuff some teams, but they need to start showing something away from home as well. Though. They need to grow some fucking balls away from home, and reward them fans, because, like I said, the fans that went to Donny on Tuesday night, I have to take my hat off to you, and you sounded fantastic on the telly.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Well, you were the only wankers putting any effort in, because the 11 on the pitch didn't look like their arse. Well, they didn't look like their arse most of them, did they?
No.
So, yeah, I think you will. Although I think Saturday, Andy, I think you'll see a bit more like we've seen in the Luton and Bradford game. You'll see more of that at home, because it's easy to do it there when you've got us behind you. But when you're away from home and the chips are down, that's when they're being found massively wanting.
But do you think we've signed, it's part of the profile of player that we've signed, though, Gaz, that we've signed players who can make the step up to the Championship? I think my dad made this point to me. You think we're just signing players that almost assuming we're going to get promoted, and we'll sign these players from the Championship that, yeah, they might be all right when we go up. You know, it's all this talk when we go up. Instead of signing sort of up and coming mid to top end League One players with something to prove. You know, like
Jed's literally just put that in.
Yeah.
Is Jed your dad?
Yeah. Plot twist. It's Dad Jed.
But there's something in what he says. But and we talked about this with Birmingham, didn't we? You know, Birmingham signed some tough nuts, some League One cloggers, and then sprinkled some real quality in and amongst it. And I'm not sure that's what we've done. And you know, Rivethead's talking about injuries, and you're right, we've had a lot of injuries, but we've got a massive squad for this level.
Yeah,
we should be able to cope with the injuries we've had.
Should be able to cope with
the depth of that. You know, even on Saturday, if you look at our bench, it'll have players that would probably walk into most of the League One teams on our bench. So yeah, I recognise the injuries. I'm not sure that's the root cause of our failure so far.
I think we're just acting too much as if we're a Championship club who's decided to take a trip to League One for a fun day out, and but don't worry, we'll be back in the Championship. You know, it's like all this infrastructure again with all the hospitality and 50 million staff up and down, and you know, high-end facilities and this, that, and the other. We're in League One. We're a League One football club. We're playing League One. If you look at Lincoln as a comparison, they are a League One football club. They run like a League One football club with a bare minimum staff, but they've got, you know, good, honest facilities. They sign players for that level who are grafters, hard workers. They gelled as a team, and they're doing really well. We look like we don't think that we should be here. We're better than this. And, well, I'm sorry, but we are a League One football club at this moment in time. We're not better than League One, because if we were, we'd be in the fucking Championship. We're in League One. And instead of doing all this ridiculous behind the scenes, we're going to have multi-million-pound facilities and new catering facility and this, that, and the other. Let's focus on the team first and getting out of this league before we do all that. And let's sign players that actually know League One, that will roll the sleeves up, that are physical, that will play the type of football required when you go to a Stevenage or a Burton away, when it's a clogging match for 90 minutes, and not stroll around on the pitch trying to play passive football and then just completely overrun physically. Until we get it out of his heads that we're not a Championship club anymore, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere. But it's not what people want to hear, is it? You know, they want exciting Championship signings, but really, this league is a clogging match. It's terrible. It's an awful league to get out of. And you need players who are hardened, battle-hardy players that will just get stuck in, that know what it takes. And we haven't got enough of them. Yeah, unfortunately.
We need to up our bastard quotient, and we haven't got enough. No, you're right. I can't think of anybody. There's some probably really lovely blokes and whether I'd want to watch the Sonny Bradleys of this world to play for my football club. I tell you what, that man's a winner. What's his name? Max Power. As a footballer, not got much capability. He's a fucking winner, and they're playing in teams that are winning. You know, so I think we need a sprinkling, or have needed a sprinkling of that, and we just don't appear to have got it. It can appear in patches. It appeared against Bradford. You know, McGuane shoving what's his face, that arsehole that pushed him over, whatever he was called. So they can do it when the atmosphere is right and when the blood's up. But when it's a run-of-the-mill League One game away at Doncaster Rovers, they can't do it. And that's the difference. That's the reason that they're in League One, is that they're not able to lift their standards of play and their physicality and their will to win to the necessary level often enough. So that's why we're getting the 10 out of 17 away games that we've lost. That's why that is, because they can't lift themselves mentally to the right place to be able to get the bastard points away from home, because they just don't have it in them. And that's the thing that we're missing. We need to sign some bastards.
Dave House says, grafters, warriors, like your Effelis, Lovers, Schindlers. Obviously not of that level of quality, but even like your Sonny Bradley's, players like that who bastards that you don't enjoy playing against them, but you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a tough test, elbows to the head, the old studs down the shins. Bit of dark arts, we don't have any of that, do we? Alfie May at times shows a little bit of it, but it's not enough. And Donny won every 50-50 on Tuesday, every 50-50, and that isn't good enough when you're wanting to go for promotion. They should be showing that impetus, getting stuck into them, not the other way around. That being said, let's have some predictions for Barnsley. I am going to quickly chat about this fans forum that we had to round up, but let's have some predictions. Yeah. Andy, what do you reckon on this, mate?
It's my derby, isn't it? So
the Andy
K
derby. So I don't know. Depends which versions of the two teams turn up. It could be an absolute classic, or it could be a 0-0. But I've got to back my boys. 1-0 Town off Hardy's arse in the 89th minute, and I go apoplectic at the 2,000 people that live in the same town as me that are looking downwards with their heads unhappy. So, come on, the mighty terrier.
Reverted says 2-1 Barnsley. I love that optimism. That's what we like to see on this pod, mate. Dave Harris says 2-2. Dave Harriet 2-2. Yeah, I'm worrying, swaying towards a draw myself, mate. But
and then we all sit round in centre circle like back in that game, and we don't play for the last 10 minutes. We'll just all agree to do that again and piss Peterborough off.
Gaz,
I think, despite everything, I have a sneaky feeling we'll win a Saturday. I think they'll win at Saturday. We're good enough at home to win more than our fair share of games, so I think we'll win Saturday. So, do you want to score, D, as well?
Go on then. Yeah, go on.
You bastard. 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
A clean sheet. Okay,
yeah.
Helmet. That is optimistic.
Yeah.
Very optimistic. Jed says 2-2. I think 1-1. We concede goals for fun, don't we? And yeah. I think Barnsley, look, they're up and down, but they're not bad. They're not a bad side. Losing DKD were big for them. I'm glad he's gone, because otherwise he'd have scored against us without failure. But, the 4 games in hand on us, win 3 of them, they're above us.
Yeah.
I mean? They're in a bit of a false position, so it's not going to be easy, is it? So yeah, I'm going to say 1 apiece, and the usual AQ boo, the groan at the end to sign off. And another miserable podcast episode the following week, no doubt. Let's finish on this. So we had a fans forum, in inverted commas, a fans forum, didn't we? With Markham and Manning. Stephen Chicken delivering the questions. It was about an hour long. What's that? I'm keen to know people's thoughts on this. I remember back in the day when a fans forum used to mean going down pub and Potless Phil would be stood on a table with a pint of beer and saying we're going to get to Champions League, but. Them days have obviously disappeared, and now we're doing online pre-recorded filtered questions. I'm just wondering what people think about it. Is there any point to this? I mean, did anyone get anything out of it? Do you think that it'd be worth if Kev comes over him doing an actual, live fans forum where people can actually ask the questions they want? Because I saw a lot of noise about this on social media, people saying it's a complete waste of time. What are they doing that for? So I'm just keen. We'll get your views, Andy, Gaz, first, but I want you to put in the comments, guys, what you think about it. I know Dean's already said it, complete waste of time. Gaz, did you? You said you didn't watch it, mate. Did you?
I already knew what it was going to be, so I didn't even bother. Once I heard Chicken was asking the questions, not against Stephen, but he has an inherent reason to keep the club sweet. He makes a living out of them, so he can't afford to alienate himself from the club or the club hierarchy. So I'm not having a go at the lad. No. Once I found out Steve was going to be pitching the questions, we all knew you just knew it was going to be that kind of thing. I don't really understand I guess perhaps playing devil's advocate, the club wanted this kind of social media questions asked, broadcast on video thing to go out because it generates more traffic. It reaches more people than last time I went to one of these, as you say, it was a pub in Fulham when Phil told us he was re-signing fucking Jonas Lossell. So that was the last time I went to a physical one, and there was probably 100 people in there. So there was only those 100 people heard what he had to say. So I sort of get why they want to do it in that format, but the reality is it adds zero value. It's just another fucking overblown press conference, isn't it? So yeah, I didn't listen to it. I'm not surprised it was a load of shit. They need to grow something. If they're going to do a fans forum, grow a pair of fucking balls and do it properly.
Andy?
I think it's you've got to look at it for what it is. They're never going to ask Stephen Chicken, because he's self-employed like me. He's never going to bite the hand that feeds him. He's never going to ask the questions that the frothy people want asking. And I don't blame him for a second for doing that. And the club are not going to allow that either. They want product to be consumed by people who are interested in the brand of Huddersfield Town. That's all it was. That's all it is. It's content. It's like that other podcast they had that had about 2 episodes and appears to have disappeared off the face of the earth. It's just content to get engagement, to get clicks on websites, to get people going off and buying a hat or a scarf or something. It is what it is. You're never going to get we're re-signing Jonas Lossell type of revelation on these type of things anymore. It's not what it's there for me. So I think I watched 10 minutes to see whether they asked my question, which was, does Liam Manning know that all the words to Smile a While and would he sing it? And that was never going to get asked. So he's not going to sing All the While Upon the Field of Play, which I'm disappointed in. I think he should know the words to our club song. And there is a point behind it. If you don't know that, how connected are you to the club? But they're never going to ask that question in case he goes, no, I don't know, because that potentially would show him in a bad light. So they're not going to ask even the mildest version of that type of question, because that's not what it's there for. It's there to promote the club. And I mean, if they don't do it, if they don't try and get some sort of fan engagement with it, we'd be going, well, what efforts are they making to engage with the fans? So they do it, and they get criticised because the question isn't the exact one that we would have asked to. Let's be realistic. That's not what it's there for. It's not necessarily designed to yes, it's an attempt to get them a little bit closer to us, to find out a little bit more about Manning and Markham. But that's it. We will only ever get a sanitised version of the reality of the club, because otherwise, if we get to know the real things that are going on behind the scene, then that's not just about Huddersfield Town. That's about any football club that could potentially switch people off from it. So
honestly, it's the worst clickbait since Nick just said the season's over if we lose to Barnsley.
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but I think to me a fans forum is where people have the opportunity to ask what questions they want. Now, obviously, if there's questions that the club can't answer, you would say that accordingly, wouldn't you? But to me, the club would gain more respect from the fan base by doing it in a live forum at H-Town and having it streamed. Because let's be honest, you don't have to look far on social media to know that certain sections of the fan base aren't happy, and they're asking these questions online. So it's not like this is any sort of new information to anybody that will be listening. But what it does show is that the club are willing to openly engage with the fans and try and answer the questions that they can answer. And if there's a reason they can't, and they explain the reasons why, for whatever that is, fair enough. And if there was any fans that were misbehaving, they would get removed. But I think the last 2 fans forums we've had have been highly filtered. I mean, Mark Cartwright didn't even show up for that last one, which went down like a lead balloon.
Oh God, I forgot.
I just think they do more harm than good, Andy, these type of things. I think if you're going to do it properly. And if you're getting any inappropriate questions or ones that you can't answer for whatever reason, then just be honest and say, well, I can't answer this because... But more often than not, they will be able to provide an answer, and it just shows that they aren't shying away from these tough questions, because it hasn't been good enough over the last God knows how many years.
You're right about the filtering, Nick, because I was just thinking about that when I went to Fulham. And look, I don't know Phil Hodgkinson. I wasn't a great fan, but the first question questioned his financial viability and his ability to fund the football club at that time. And actually, he more or less said, well, we know what my company's called, go to a company's house, go and search it, credit check. If you wanted to credit, knock yourself out sort of thing. And then about 2 or 3 questions later, there was a similar vein question, not quite the same, around questioning his ability to fund the club. And actually, a couple of people in the crowd were going, we've already answered that question, mate. Now, actually, the crowd suddenly self-regulated these things, because that. And in fairness to, I mean, I would have been, if I'd have been an issue, I'd have been saying to them, fucking mind your own business. But, so these things have a way of self-managing themselves. I know, and as you said, Nick, somebody's a dick, get them hossed out. We don't want people being insulted or assaulted or stupid stuff. That's not the point of the exercise. But not asking them real questions is also utterly pointless.
Yeah, and it's fuel for people, these more negative people. It's just more fuel to fire for them, because it's, well, the club's doing this just to shut people up, but actually they're shying away from answering any proper questions. And as you say, Andy, any publicity, any content is good content. If you put that out there, there's going to be loads of clicks on that, isn't there? And there are clubs that have these open forums that are successful, and it was successful under Dean. Why can't it be successful with Nagel? I don't get it. What are they scared of? What questions are they scared of?
I think partly what they're scared of is elderly man like me getting hold of Mike and then telling you my life story about how long I've supported Town and who my favourite players were before I asked you whether Ryan Ledson's fit at the weekend. I think they're scared shitless of questions, because we've all been there, haven't we? We've all been in them forums. I know that I've been in a couple in Austria, and you think, oh my God, here it comes, and you'll get the full live story, and then you'll get the question, and that turns viewers off. So I think there's an attempt there to make it so that the questions asked are ostensibly useful for the audience that's asking them, but there's got to be some sort of filtering for it. So I think that's why they would do it that way. I know that if I'm hosting a Q&A session with the leader as part of a corporate development program, that I want those questions beforehand, because I want to be able to manage the energy in the audience if needs be, and I'm not going to hand it over to somebody and let them just railroad. And they're worried about that risk, particularly if it's happening on a live stream. So there's an element that the club's trying to control the narrative, and I understand why they might want to, whether it means that we get a sanitized product, as Neil's put, the good old Wayno's put, utterly pointless scripted bollocks to feed a narrative. Yeah, it is, because it's not designed to give us that much insight and that much depth. That's not what it's there for, in my view. It's to get clicks and get you through to the HTFC shop and buy yourself a nice little Terry the Terrier to give to you. It's all about income generation, and this is just part of the content. The behind the scenes stuff and all that type of stuff is there to get content.
I think the one thing Kev could learn from Dean, who now weirdly seems to split opinions between Town fans, but Dean was brilliant at using those opportunities to then get everybody back on the bus.
Yeah.
He'd acknowledge failure, he'd acknowledge challenge, he'd acknowledge where they'd gone wrong, and then he promised to be better, and they talk about what they were going to do to make it better. I think if I have a criticism of Kev, and I'm a Kev fan, but if I have a criticism of Kev, is that he does have a distinct lack. I'm sure he'll completely disagree with this. Not that he's fucking listening, but he has a distinct lack sometimes of acknowledging fault he's made errors, but you wouldn't think so. And I think that's something that the club could learn. Dean was an excellent communicator because he did it straight. He did it straight from the heart, straight to the people that really mattered. And as a consequence, then people were always backing him, no matter how crap a decision it was, no matter how bad we were. People were always behind him, and I think that's something the club could learn from that, Andy, is that it can't just be about English football. Isn't about clicks, traction, volume of views. That's not what football's about. Well, not at this level anyway. If you're in the Premier League and you're Tottenham Hotspur or you're Chelsea, absolutely, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Player goes for a piss. That's top line news. But we're a League One football club. They need to think about fan engagement, local community engagement, and I know there's some really great stuff in the community, by the way, before everybody thinks I'm criticising. But this is real. And also, do you know what else best thing about it? It's fucking free. This is free. It doesn't cost the club anything to generate this interest, this enthusiasm, and this activity. It doesn't cost them anything. But what it does cost them, I guess, is a risk that they may well be, as Neil says, diverted from their scripted narrative and drift off into an area they don't want to be.
Yeah, you could make money you could charge folk to go in. Do you know what I mean? You're selling things, and if you had it in H-Town, you could sell things, drinks in there, and you could earn money from it. And say, Andy, you could run it like a conference. You could say, look, we've only got an hour. We'll keep to time. It's 30 seconds per question. You can easily manage it.
It can be managed, yeah.
If it could be asked. But I don't know. I just think if you're going to do it properly, and then you get a lot more respect from the fan base by doing it that way. Otherwise, you're just feeling you're just fanning the flames of people who have a slightly more negative view, shall we say. Whereas if you do it properly and you're open and you're honest, it shuts them up, doesn't it? So
yeah, and you see the other side of the content they've released today. There's this young lad called Arthur who has autism, and they've showed his journey from going into the quiet room and going out and holding it. Stuff like that is absolute quality from the club. So that's really, really good. I think that, and there's plenty of, like Gaz was saying, the stuff they do in the community is absolutely outstanding. There's a little bit, there's still that disconnect between, and I think that press conferences, which effectively was a press conference, wasn't it? The Q&A session is an attempt to bridge that gap, because if they don't do it, they'll get criticised for it. If they do it, they get criticised for doing it. I think there is a way to make it better. And like you say, the Dean Hoyle honesty of, I'll answer any questions because it's my club. That I think that's those halcyon days. Whether we get back to Big Phil being in the old Odeon cinema and streaming it live and all that type of stuff, I don't know. But there's so many good bits of content down there. It's just a bit disappointing. To Neil again, so that Millbridge and hosted by Rambo is real and raw, and you feel so there's an element of respect with the honesty that comes with it. I completely get Neil's point there, and that felt
that's it, isn't it? Yeah,
a different slant on it, a more sanitized version of it, but I get to a certain extent why they did it, and it's not to be unexpected. You'll find what you're looking for. If you enjoy that type of stuff, then brilliant. I think I watched about 10 minutes of it, and normally I gobble up stuff like that, but it just wasn't for me, so I didn't bother anymore.
And again, playing devil's advocate, Kev lives the other side of the world, so his ability to go to Millbridge on a Saturday afternoon and have 8 pints with the Millbridge lot is pretty limited. But this wasn't with Kev, it was with Markham and manager. Manning and Markham should be more than capable of dealing with a room full of Huddersfield Town fans asking questions.
Yeah,
the professionals.
Right, lads, on that note, I think we'll leave it there. We've done a lot there, considering how depressing performances it's been. I think we've done okay to keep it reasonably light and get through just over an hour of content there. But thank you, everybody, for all your...
You need to answer Jed's question in the...
I'm going to answer it on the way out. I mean, I was just basically just going to wrap up and say, see you in Pattaya, Jed. But, thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll be back after the Barnsley game. In fact, hope to God that we at least Even if we don't
Can't
win,
come back
just
here.
put a performance in, because, dear God, we can't have another game with no shots on target.
We
But
lose.
yeah, see you guys later up the town, and Jed will see you in Pattaya, mate. All the best. See you later.
See you later.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you